Hello everyone, Emily here. I am outside, sitting here watching my grandchildren play. They're having so much fun. And I wanted to sit out here and maybe do a little bit of crocheting. I thought I'd make a washcloth because I do make quite a few for my friends and my daughter-in-law for Christmas, and I need to get going because I do not want to get behind. And I just wanted to say hi. Let's make a washcloth. I am going to do the rice stitch, which is one of my most favorite stitches. And it's really simple, goes super fast, and that's what I need right now to get caught up on my, I'll bring you out so you're not so close to my face. So I can get caught up on my washcloths, and I'm going to use this beautiful green. Okay, so I am going to use this green, and of course I'm using the 100% cotton. And I'm going to make a slip knot and put my crochet hook on it. My crochet hook is a 3.0 millimeter, which is smaller than it calls for, but I want my stitches to be really nice and tight. So I have my hook on, my yarn on my hook, and I'm just going to grab it and bring it through, which is making a chain. Now you can make your chain as long as you want it. I'm going to tell you it really helps if you do multiples of 2, but if you have one left at the end, it's not going to make a big deal. You can just bury it with your tail. And I am outside and I did not bring a marker, so I'm going to show you where you need to go in. I apologize, I don't use markers all the time. I do use them sometimes. I don't think it's too hard to find the end to these. So I'm just going to make a little one here. I personally like little ones. I like the round ones. I think the round ones I really like because you can really get in there and scrub. Okay, so when you have your chain as long as you want it to be, this right here, this stitch, we're not going to go in there. We're going to go into the next stitch. And I'm going to go under one strand, and I'm going to crochet one. Now if you have a marker, you're going to want to put it right there. Now I'm going to chain one. I am going to skip the next stitch, and I'm going to go into the following one. The rice stitch is going to be continually crocheting one, chaining one, skipping a stitch, and going to the next one. And that is our pattern actually for the whole project. But let's just keep going together. I chained one, I'm going to skip one and go into the next one. I'm only going under one strand, but when we turn, we are going to be going under. We're going to go right into the opening where we did that chain one. So I'm going to chain one, skip one, go into the next one. Chain one, skip one, go into the next one. Chain one, skip one, go into the next one. Chain one. I'm going to skip one and go into the next one. I'm going to chain one, skip one, go into the next one. Now I did not count my chain because I figured if I have an extra one, that's okay with me. Skip one, and I do have an extra one, so I'm not going to worry about it because when I go back and I bury it, I'll just pull it through. So now that we're at the end, we're going to chain one. We're going to turn our work. So we always are going to be going into these chain one openings. So this right here is 1 stitch. So we're going to go ahead and chain 1 for this stitch. So we are going to go into this opening and pull our yarn through, and we're going to do a single crochet, and we're going to chain 1. If I don't chain 1, I forget. Okay, so we're going to chain 1. So you can see here where we did our chain 1 when we got to the end, and then we turned and we did our chain 1 for this space. So that's where we'll be going into when we come back. So that will always be your last stitch. So we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to go into our opening. Remember, I already chained 1. So we're just going to go in there. We're going to do our single crochet and we're going to chain 1. Look for our next opening. I'm going to do my 1 stitch, chain 1. And you can see when I'm going inside, I'm kind of pulling it up a little bit. Chain 1. Now when I did this stitch with the Bernat baby blanket, I got a lot of views and a lot of positive comments. This just works up so quickly, and with that Bernat baby, it's so puffy and fluffy that you really can't even see the holes once you start going. So I'm going to go into my opening here. Going to chain 1, go in here, now you can see we're close to the end, so I'm going to go into this last opening. So I have this last opening here, and like I said, we're going to go into this last stitch. So I'm just going to go right in to the top. I would prefer to go under 2, but if you can't go under 2 and you can only find 1, just go under that 1. You're okay. I'm going to do my single crochet. I am using that smaller needle, or hook, excuse me, and so it does make it nice and tight. And I'm going to chain 1 like I do before I turn, and I'm going to turn. So I'm not going to go in here, but I'm going to go over here. So I'm going to chain 1, which is going to be for this one right here, and I'm going to go right into this opening. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go into my next opening. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to go into my next opening. And I'm going to chain 1, go into the next opening. So you can just see the pattern here. So I think your biggest challenge from this point is just going to be, excuse me, I sprayed myself with bug spray, but the bugs here in Des Moines, Iowa, even with all the haziness from the fires from Texas, the last 2 days have been just horrible. Today the sun is peeking out. We're supposed to have thunderstorms this afternoon, which I really hope we get, so that maybe it will get rid of some of this nastiness that we have for the air here. I didn't really go out the last 2 days. So you can see here I'm at the end. So now we went in here, and we're going to go all the way over here because I changed my 1, and we're going to go into this last stitch right here. And I'm going to try to go under 2. And I did it. I'm going to go ahead and bring it through. I'm going to do my single crochet. So now you can see my edge is coming out pretty straight. So I'm going to go ahead and chain 1, and then I'm going to turn. So now you can see I have an opening here. So I do want to go in there. And you can see this first stitch right here. This first stitch we're not going to go into. So I'm going to chain 1. So I have 2. And I'm going to go right into that opening. And I'm going to chain 1. So my edge is coming out really nice and straight. So I'm going to look for my next opening because I already made my chain. There we go. Chain 1, find my opening. And you can see that this really is working up pretty darn quick. Ooh, I might have to spray it. I might have to spray my ankles again. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to chain 1, go into my opening, chain 1, go into my opening, chain 1, and you can see here at the end now I have an opening here at the end. So I'm going to go into that opening. I'm going to chain 1. And then I'm going to go into this last spot. And chain 1 and turn. Now, if you want to use a stitch marker so you don't get confused, please do. So I'm going to chain my 1. So at each end I chain 2, but I always chain 1 before I turn and I chain 1 after I turn. So if you're going to use a stitch marker, put it in the one that you just chained right now. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this first opening. Chain 1, and see, the farther you get, my stitches are getting a little bit tighter, so it's becoming a little bit more harder to see where you're going to be going into. But don't stress. If you look, see the V's? Those are your stitches from before, so right in between is where you're going to go in. Between those V's. Not in between the V's, but in between the two V's. Okay. Now I am going to just go into this last stitch because it's so close. I'm just going to go into this last stitch. Like I said, if it seems like I'm having a hard time going through them, I am pulling through them a little bit, but that's because I'm using a 3mm hook. So I chained 1, I'm going to turn it. I'm going to make my next chain, because I always do 2 on each end. Okay, so you can see here that I'm going to go right into this one right here, right away. See, my edge is coming out really nice and straight. So use that stitch marker if you want to. I'm not going to go into the V. I'm going to go in between the V's. And that makes it easier so that you can go faster when you're crocheting too, when you can see those V's. See the V's? Did I chain my 1? No, I did not. See, that's why I got to do it right away. Got my 2 V's. I'm just going to go right in between. And I'll tell you, you can just fill that opening right there when you stick your hook in there. Green is my favorite color, and I love this color. And I hope I have enough left over to make a round one. Now every year I buy a box or a plastic container and I fill them up with about 50, sometimes more, for my daughter-in-law for Christmas. And you know, I gotta tell you, I don't know what she does with them, but she's always telling me she needs more in the middle of the year. They use them for everything. But I do want to make some. Here I am at the end. I do want to make some of those dish towels that you hang on the stove. Those are actually wonderful. My daughter made me one and I made one for myself. And you wouldn't think they'd be so absorbent when you dry your hands, but they're actually wonderful. So you can see I did my 2 single crochets, and look at that. You can just really see where you need to go into. So use your markers if you need to. And if you make a mistake and you can see a little lump, I've done this before. I am not a frogger. I will just go around the edges. You can go around the edges with a different color to make it look really cute. You can go around it with the same color to make it look cute. You can just do all kinds of things. This is like one of the first times I came out in the back to sit down outside this year. I've sat out front a couple of times. It's my first time in the backyard on the patio. Mosquitoes are so horrible. Plus, I gotta tell you, I got poison oak by my mailbox. It was horrible. I'll have to do a video on it with my long COVID because it was like one of the worst experiences of my life. So I turned here. I'm gonna go into this first opening. So when I go to the end, I always chain one, turn, and then chain another one. This is turning out really super duper cute. And it's not taking any time at all. So I'm just going to leave you here. Now when you get to the end, any end that you know, as long, when it gets as square, as long as you want it, then you just tie it off on the end, and then you can bury this guy in your other one. And remember to chain that one. If you don't chain that one, it will just make it a little bit tighter. It's not the end of the world. It's a pretty good stitch here. It's a nice stitch, not to aggravate you. Okay, so you can see you got a little bit of a lump there. That's all right. I think I went into the end. If you were watching, paying attention, I think I did. Anyway, I think it looks pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it. So I am going to continue and finish this. Okay, so I finished my little washcloth, dishcloth, because these are great to wash dishes, but I'll tell you, this cotton yarn also is really super wonderful to make really large ones, rectangle ones I made to put down for doilies. Like, they just run along the width of my little table and hang on the ends. I really like that. So anyway, here it is. And to tell if it's perfectly square, I take this end to the other end, and that's how I can tell it's square. You can always make yours longer if you want. You can make yours any size you want to. You can crochet some decals, like a happy face. You can just do whatever you want to make it yours, but this is mine. So I'm just going to bury my ends, and it's done, and I'm going to put it with the rest of them. And I'm sure whoever gets this will really enjoy it. I know it's a little tiny one, But you know what? I like the tiny ones. So, you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed this. I just wanted to share this with you. I'm sorry, you all. Thank you for watching. Have a great day, and I will be back soon. Bye.